The morning light filters through Douglas firs as I kneel in damp soil, positioning native trilliums. This garden saved me when nothing else could. 3 years ago, Vanessa walked out of our marriage with half my assets and all my confidence. "You're just too passive, Ethan," she'd said, packing designer clothes into expensive suitcases. 2 months later, she was dating Dominic, a construction company owner whose personality seemed constructed entirely of testosterone. I retreated to this modest craftsman in a quiet Portland suburb and transformed the neglected yard into something beautiful. What began as distraction evolved into passion. My garden became known throughout the neighborhood, a sanctuary of native plants and flowering perennials. "Those trilliums look happy," Mrs. Abernathy calls from over the fence. "Just transplanted them from the shade garden," I reply. "They weren't getting enough light." "Smart move. Did you hear about the Petersons' house selling? Moving truck coming this weekend." The Petersons' Colonial is 3 doors down. I'm more concerned with my soil pH than neighborhood real estate. This garden is more than hobby, it's identity. After the divorce, friends drifted away, but here, among the columbines and black-eyed Susans, I rebuilt myself. Each plant represents a victory over the emptiness Vanessa left behind. My garden became my voice when words failed me. Saturday morning arrives with the rumble of a moving truck. I'm on my knees beside my prized rhododendrons when the noise pulls my attention to the street. Behind the truck, a sleek black Range Rover pulls up, the driver's door opens, and my stomach drops. Dominic unfolds his 6'3" frame from the vehicle, designer sunglasses perched on his square jaw. He opens the passenger door. And there she is. Vanessa, my ex-wife. Her chestnut hair styled in that precise way that suggests both effortlessness and a $300 salon visit. "You've got to be fucking kidding me," I whisper. 3 years of careful healing, and now Vanessa and Dominic are moving in 3 houses down. I retreat inside, hands trembling. Through the kitchen window, I watch the parade of furniture and boxes. This can't be happening. By evening, I force myself outside to water my plants, hoping darkness provides enough cover. It doesn't. "Ethan, is that you?" Vanessa's voice cuts through the evening air. She stands at the edge of my property, glass of white wine in hand, designer casual and expensive loungewear. "Hello, Vanessa," I manage, garden hose clutched like a lifeline. Her smile doesn't reach her eyes. What a coincidence, right? Dominic fell in love with the house, and I had no idea you lived here until after we closed. The lie slides smoothly from her lips. "You've gotten really into plants." The way she says it makes my passion sound like a peculiar affliction. "Dominic's built 3 housing developments this year," she continues. "We just got back from Cabo." Before she can continue, a massive black pickup truck roars down the street. Dominic emerges, all broad shoulders and swagger. "Babe," he calls loudly, "where'd you put my gym bag?" "Inside, Dom," she calls back, then turns to me with a practiced smile. "Duty calls." She walks away, performance complete. I stand there, garden hose dripping onto my shoes, a familiar hollowness expanding in my chest. That night, I lie awake wondering if I should sell my house. But the thought of leaving my garden makes my chest ache. This is my home, my sanctuary. I won't be driven out. The next morning, I'm inspecting my trilliums when Dominic's truck shatters the peaceful patter of raindrops. He guns the engine, cutting the corner sharply, his massive tires carving trenches across the edge of my lawn. I freeze as he speeds away without a glance back. It could be an accident, but something in my gut tells me it wasn't. The pattern continues over the next 2 weeks, Dominic's truck cutting across my lawn, always when I'm outside to witness it, always with Vanessa watching from their porch, that small smile playing on her lips. Then comes the Saturday that changes everything. I'm planting columbines when Dominic's black pickup barrels down the street. This time, he swerves deliberately, jumping the curb and plowing directly through my garden. The front tires crush my rhododendrons, the back wheels obliterate my trilliums. I stagger to my feet as the truck roars away. Through the passenger window, I catch a glimpse of Dominic's face, split in a wide grin. In shock, I survey the destruction. 3 years of patient work, destroyed in seconds. Movement catches my eye. Vanessa stands on their porch, wine glass in hand, watching me. Even from this distance, I can see her smile. Something breaks inside me. Not in the way things broke during the divorce that was a slow erosion of self. This is different. This is a dam bursting. I march across the cul-de-sac, fury propelling me forward. Dominic is wiping down his truck with a microfiber cloth. What the hell was that? My voice comes out steadier than I expect. Dominic looks up, feigning surprise. What was what, man? You drove through my garden. You destroyed plants I've been growing for years. He straightens. It's just a bunch of flowers, dude. Relax. They're not just flowers. That's my property you damaged. My work. Dominic exchanges a glance with Vanessa, who has drifted closer. It's dirt and plants, Ethan, he says, my name sounding like an insult. If you want something worth protecting, get a real hobby, something a man would do. The familiar sting of inadequacy flares, but this time, it's overwhelmed by anger. Stay off my property, I say, each word precise. Vanessa laughs. Oh, Ethan, always so serious about the wrong things. Dom's just being Dom. He's a real man, he takes up space. And you've always been so good at taking up with men who take up space, I reply, surprising myself. Her smile hardens. At least I know what I want. You just putter around with your little plants, hiding from real life. I look between them, Dominic with his smug grin, Vanessa with her practiced cruelty, and realize they're enjoying this. My pain is their entertainment. This isn't over, I say quietly, turning to walk back to my destroyed garden. Oh, I'm terrified, Dominic calls after me, laughing. Their laughter follows me across the cul-de-sac. But as I survey the wreckage of my sanctuary, something resolves within me. They think I'm the same passive man Vanessa left 3 years ago. They're wrong. I pull out my phone and scroll through my contacts until I find Javier Mendoza, engineering professor and old college friend. If anyone can help me defend my garden, it's him. They think they know me. They think I'm weak. They have no idea what I'm capable of when protecting what I love. Part 2. The counterattack. An electric what? I ask as Javier sketches on a notepad. Perimeter mat, he replies, eyes bright. Low voltage, not harmful, but enough to make someone think twice about where they're stepping. It's been 3 days since Dominic destroyed my garden. 3 days of avoiding my front yard, unable to face the devastation. 3 days of their laughter drifting across the cul-de-sac. Javier arrived with equipment and determination. We've known each other since college. He was the brilliant scholarship kid, I was the quiet one. Now he's an engineering professor, and I'm a software developer with a destroyed garden. Is it legal? I ask. Javier shrugs. You're not setting up a lethal electric fence. This is like those joke buzzers, uncomfortable but harmless. And it's on your property, which someone is repeatedly trespassing on. He taps his pen. But that's just phase 1. He outlines the rest, motion-activated sprinklers, and a sound system that emits a frequency he describes as part demon, part angry bear. The whole system triggers when someone crosses the boundary, he explains. First the mat gives them a zap, then the sprinklers soak them, and if they're still not getting the message, the sound system makes them think they've opened a portal to hell. We spend the day setting everything up. By sunset, my yard looks normal again, if you ignore the destroyed garden beds, but it's now a sophisticated trap. After Javier leaves, I sit on my porch watching Vanessa and Dominic's house. I should feel guilty about the trap I've set. But when I look at my destroyed garden, all I feel is cold certainty. They crossed a line. Now they'll learn there are consequences. For 3 nights, nothing happens. Then, at 2:17 a.m. on the 4th night, I jolt awake to the sound of a vehicle idling outside. Through the blinds, I see Dominic's truck creeping down the street, headlights off. He stops at the edge of my property, then steps out. He reaches back into the truck and pulls out what looks like a bag of something. He takes 2 confident steps onto my property, crossing the invisible line where the perimeter mat lies buried. The effect is instantaneous and glorious. There's a sharp crackling sound, and Dominic's body goes rigid. He lets out a high-pitched yelp, stumbling backward. Before he can recover, the sprinklers kick in, shooting jets of ice-cold water directly at him. One catches him square in the face, another soaks his shirt. Then comes the sound, Javier's demonic creation erupting at full volume. The unholy roar echoes through the quiet neighborhood. Dominic screams. Not a shout, not a curse, a genuine, terror-filled scream. He stumbles backward, slipping in the mud, arms windmilling. Lights flick on in neighboring houses. Dominic scrambles back to his truck, soaking wet and wild-eyed. The engine roars as he peels away. I'm still processing this victory when Vanessa emerges onto their porch, wrapped in a silk robe. She starts down their walkway, coming to investigate. Vanessa, barefoot and unsuspecting, steps onto my property and hits the perimeter mat. She jumps like she's been stung, letting out a shriek. The sprinklers catch her next, drenching her from head to toe. "What the fuck, Ethan?" she screams toward my house. I step outside onto my porch, deliberately casual. "Problem?" I call, keeping my voice even. Vanessa whirls to face me, her expression murderous. "This is assault. This is illegal." "No," I reply calmly. "This is security for my property, which your husband has repeatedly trespassed on and damaged. I have it all on camera." Her eyes widen, and for a moment, I see something I never witnessed during our divorce: uncertainty. Vanessa hates not being in control, and right now, soaking wet at 2 a.m., she is definitely not in control. "We're calling the police," she hisses, backing away. "I look forward to showing them my security footage," I reply. She stares at me for a long moment, then turns and stalks back to their house, dignity in tatters. The next morning, a man in a cheap suit delivers a cease and desist letter, legal jargon about dangerous devices and harassment. But the war is far from over. That evening, I find ketchup packets smeared across my mailbox. The next morning, beer cans are scattered through my flower beds. The day after, a pile of garbage appears on my front steps. Each time, I clean up without complaint. Each time, I check my security cameras, but whoever is doing this stays just out of frame. Then comes the night that changes everything. I'm working late when movement on my security camera feed catches my eye. A figure is moving across my front yard, staying in the shadows. I switch to another camera angle and catch a clear image: Dominic, carrying a large bag, creeping toward what remains of my garden beds. I watch as he kneels beside my destroyed rhododendrons and begins pouring something from the bag. It takes me a moment to realize what it is: salt. He's salting my garden soil, ensuring nothing will grow there again. Cold fury washes over me. This isn't a childish prank. This is calculated destruction. I grab my phone and dial 911. I need to report a trespasser, I tell the dispatcher. He's on my property right now, deliberately damaging it. I have him on camera. The police arrive within minutes. I meet them at the door, laptop in hand, security footage queued up. Officer Rivera watches the video without comment, then nods to her partner. "We'll handle this," she says, and they move across the street to Dominic and Vanessa's house. I watch from my porch as they knock on the door. Dominic answers, his expression changing rapidly when he sees the uniforms. Vanessa appears behind him, her face paling. She starts talking rapidly, gesturing toward my house, her voice rising, ridiculous, and over some plants. Officer Rivera remains impassive. She says something that makes Dominic's shoulders slump, then gestures for him to step outside. When he does, her partner moves behind him, and I see the flash of handcuffs. Vanessa's reaction is immediate and volcanic. She surges forward, screaming at the officers. "You can't do this. Do you know who we are?" They lead Dominic to the patrol car, his head down. Officer Rivera walks back across the street to me. "We're taking him in for criminal trespassing and property damage," she says. "Do you want to press charges?" "Yes," I reply without hesitation. As she walks back to the patrol car, I look across at Vanessa. She raises one hand and points at me, the gesture unmistakably threatening, before slamming their front door. I should feel victorious. Instead, I feel a strange hollowness. This isn't over. Vanessa's gesture made that clear. If anything, I've just escalated a war that's already destroyed my garden. But when I look at the salted earth where my rhododendrons once bloomed, I know I had no choice. Some lines, once crossed, demand a response. Part 3. The escalation. The morning after Dominic's arrest, I stand at my window surveying the aftermath. The salted earth gleams dully in the sunlight. Nothing will grow there now. My phone buzzes with a text from Javier. Saw the police report. Salting the earth. What is he, a cartoon villain? I almost smile. Almost. The neighborhood feels different today. Mrs. Abernathy waves more enthusiastically than usual. The couple walking their corgi nod in my direction, something like respect in their eyes. I kneel beside the salted bed, running soil through my fingers. The texture is wrong, gritty with dissolved crystals. Movement catches my eye. Dominic's truck pulling into their driveway. He climbs out slowly, shoulders hunched, none of his usual swagger evident. Released on bail. Then. I spend the day coding, trying to lose myself in work. But every glance out the window reveals activity at their house. Vanessa pacing on the porch, Dominic's shadow behind curtains. A teenager I haven't seen before, must be Leo. Vanessa's son sitting on their front steps, looking miserable. By evening, an uneasy quiet has settled over the cul-de-sac. I force myself outside, reclaiming my porch rather than hiding away. Across the street, Their house remains dark and silent. Maybe they've learned their lesson. I should know better by now. The fire alarm wakes me at 3:42 a.m. I smell smoke drifting through my window and look out to see my trash can engulfed in flames. I grab my phone, dial 911, and race outside with the garden hose. By the time I get the fire under control, my trash can is a melted ruin. Neighbors emerge onto porches. Mrs. Abernathy stands wrapped in a bathrobe. "Ethan, are you all right?" I nod as the fire truck arrives. The firefighters take over while I give a statement to a police officer. "Any idea how it started?" he asks. I look across at Vanessa and Dominic's house. I have some suspicions. There's been an ongoing dispute with my neighbors. I check my security footage. The cameras caught a hooded figure, but the angle is wrong, the face obscured. Without clear evidence, there's little they can do. "Mr. Mercer?" I turn to find a teenage girl standing at the edge of my yard. She's Asian American, maybe 16, with purple streaked hair and a drone tucked under one arm. "I'm Maya Chen. I live 2 houses down. I have something you might want to see." She approaches, pulling out her phone. I've been using my drone for night photography, and I happen to be flying when she holds out her phone. I caught this. The video is grainy but unmistakable. Vanessa, in a dark hoodie, creeping toward my house. She approaches my trash can, pulls out a lighter, and deliberately sets the contents ablaze. "Holy shit," I whisper. "This is perfect." Maya nods. "I thought you might say that." "Maya, would you share this with the police?" "Already exported it for you." She taps her phone, and mine buzzes. High-res version. I call Officer Rivera immediately. I have video evidence of Vanessa Reeves setting fire to my trash can. "Send it to me. I'll be there in 20 minutes. I watch from my window as 2 patrol cars pull up outside their house an hour later. Officer Rivera knocks on their door. Dominic answers, his face hardening when he sees the uniforms. Vanessa appears behind him, her expression shifting from annoyance to shock as Officer Rivera presumably tells her about the drone footage. Officer Rivera holds up her phone, showing Vanessa the footage. Vanessa freezes, the color draining from her face. What happens next unfolds like a scene from a movie I never wanted to star in. Officer Rivera gestures for Vanessa to step outside. When she does, the other officer moves behind her with handcuffs. Vanessa's composure shatters. She tries to back away, then starts screaming. "You can't do this. This is insane. Dominic, do something." Dominic stands in the doorway, his massive frame suddenly smaller, deflated. As the officers lead Vanessa to the patrol car, I notice Leo on their porch, his young face a mask of misery. My stomach twists with sympathy. He didn't ask to be part of this. The patrol car drives away. Dominic catches sight of me watching and gives me a look of such pure hatred that I instinctively step back. Evening brings a knock on my door. Dominic stands on my porch, his frame tense but contained. Something in his posture less aggressive than I've ever seen him makes me open the door, keeping the security chain latched. "What do you want?" I ask. "To talk," he says, his usual bluster absent. Against my better judgment, I step onto the porch. I'm listening. "You got what you wanted," he says. "Vanessa's in jail. They're charging her with felony arson." "I didn't want any of this," I reply. "I wanted to be left alone to tend my garden. You started this when you drove through it." His jaw tightens. "It was just a stupid prank. It got out of hand." "A prank? You destroyed something I spent years creating. Then you salted the earth. That's not a prank, Dominic. That's cruelty." Before I can continue, Leo approaches, hands in his hoodie pockets, his face set in lines of anger. "Don't blame him," Leo says. "This is on you. Both of you." Dominic turns. "Leo, go back to the house. This doesn't concern you." "Doesn't concern me. Mom's in jail. You're threatening the neighbor again. How does that not concern me?" Leo scoffs. "Right, just like you weren't the one who told Mom to mess with Mr. Mercer's garden in the first place." I freeze. "What?" "It was his idea. All of it. The truck, the garbage, the salt." He kept pushing her, saying you needed to be taught a lesson for how you treated her during the divorce. Dominic steps toward Leo, his face darkening. "That's enough." "No, it's not," Leo continues. "I heard you after you got arrested. You told her to fix it, to make him pay. You're the reason she set that fire." Dominic lunges for Leo, grabbing his arm. I said that's enough. I move without thinking, stepping between them. "Let him go, Dominic." For a tense moment, I think he might hit me. But something shifts in his eyes, a flicker of shame, and he releases Leo's arm. This isn't over, he growls, but the threat sounds hollow. Yes, it is, I say quietly. It's been over for a long time. Dominic stares at me, then turns and stalks back to their house. Leo remains, rubbing his arm. I'm sorry about your garden. I didn't know it would go this far. It's not your fault, I tell him. None of this is on you. She wasn't always like this. Mom, I mean, she used to be nicer. Before Dominic. I nod, thinking of the Vanessa I first met, before resentment hardened her. I know. Leo kicks at a pebble. I should go. Be careful, I say. He gives me a half smile that doesn't reach his eyes. Always am. Then he walks back to their house, shoulders hunched against the weight of a situation no teenager should have to bear. Part 4. The reconciliation. Weeks pass in uneasy quiet. Vanessa makes bail, returning home with an electronic monitor on her ankle. I glimpse her occasionally, subdued and hollow-eyed. Dominic's truck sits in their driveway, but no longer roars down our street. When we accidentally see each other, his gaze slides past me. They're putting the house up for sale, Mrs. Abernathy tells me. Quiet listing, not even a sign in the yard yet. I nod, unsurprised but strangely unsettled. Probably for the best. Definitely for the best, she corrects. That kind of toxicity doesn't belong here. I want to feel vindicated. Instead, I feel a complicated tangle of emotions, relief, yes, but also emptiness, as if winning this battle has cost something I hadn't intended to sacrifice. My garden remains a wasteland. I've cleared away the debris but haven't replanted. The salted areas gleam dully in the sunlight. One evening, I watch from my porch as a moving truck backs into their driveway. Vanessa supervises from the porch. Dominic moves between the house and the truck, his movements stiff. There's no sign of Leo. Around 9, the truck pulls away. Dominic's pickup follows, then Vanessa's Range Rover. No goodbyes, no final glances. They simply vanish into the night, leaving behind an empty house and a silence that feels both peaceful and somehow incomplete. I sleep better that night than I have in months. But when I wake, the sight of my destroyed garden hits me anew. Their absence doesn't undo the damage. Now what? I ask the empty air. A week after they leave, a tentative knock on my door pulls me from work. I open it to find Leo standing on my porch, a small potted plant in his hands. Leo, I say, surprised. I didn't know you were still around. I'm staying with my dad in Beaverton, he says, just until things settle. I brought you this, he says, holding out the pot. Inside is a small marigold, its bright orange blooms a stark contrast to the gray October day. It's not much, but I thought, maybe it could be a start. I take the pot, something catching in my throat. Thank you. He shrugs. I'm sorry about everything. About what they did to your garden. It's not your fault, I tell him. None of this was your responsibility. Still. He meets my eyes briefly. I wanted you to know we're not all like that. Mom wasn't always like that, either. Before Dominic, she was different. Leo kicks at an imaginary pebble. They're getting divorced. Mom and Dominic. She filed the papers last week. The news shouldn't surprise me, but it does. I'm sorry, I say, and mean it. He shrugs. It's better this way. He brought out the worst in her. He hesitates. She's getting help. Therapy and stuff. Anyway, he continues, backing toward the steps. I just wanted to bring that and say sorry. Thank you, I say again. For the plant. And for coming by. He gives me a quick smile, then turns and heads down my walkway. I watch him go, this teenager caught in the crossfire of adult vindictiveness, who still found it in himself to extend an olive branch, or in this case, a marigold. After he disappears, I look down at the plant in my hands. Its bright blooms seem almost defiant against the backdrop of my barren garden. A start, he'd called it. Maybe he's right? The next morning, I wake with clarity. I pull on work clothes and head to the garden center. I buy soil amendments, gypsum to counteract the salt, compost, and new plants. Back home, I survey my front yard with fresh eyes. The damage is extensive, but not irreparable. Nothing is irreparable with enough time and care. I start with the worst areas, digging out the contaminated soil, replacing it with fresh earth. By midday, I'm sweating despite the October chill. Need a hand? I look up to find Maya standing at the edge of my property, gardening gloves sticking out of her pocket. I'm not much of a gardener, she continues, but I can lift heavy things and follow instructions. I straighten. I wouldn't say no to some help. She grins, pulling on her gloves. Cool, just tell me where to dig. We work side by side for the afternoon. As the sun begins to set, Mrs. Abernathy appears at the fence. Looking better already, she calls. I've got some columbine divisions if you want them. She returns with columbine divisions and a plate of cookies. Can't garden on an empty stomach, she declares. Maya and I take a break, munching cookies as we admire our progress. It's not much yet, mostly cleared earth and a few new plantings, but it's a beginning. The next day brings more unexpected help. The quiet couple from down the block stop by with native sedges. Later, the man with the corgi brings over river rocks for the pathway. By the end of the week, my front yard has transformed from a wasteland to a community project. Neighbors I barely knew before stop by with plants, advice, or simply to lend a hand. Maya returns daily, sometimes with friends. Mrs. Abernathy oversees it all, offering suggestions when she thinks I'm planting something incorrectly. Leo returns too, bringing more marigolds, then some native grasses. He works quietly alongside Maya and me, his presence a bridge between the conflict of the past and the healing of the present. Mom asked about you, he tells me one afternoon. She wanted to know if your garden was growing back. I pause, a stone in my hands. What did you tell her? The truth. That it's different, but it's going to be good. He glances at me. She's different too. Quieter. She thinks about things more before she says them. She's not coming back here, Leo adds. She got a job in Seattle. Fresh start, she says. That's good, I say, and mean it. Fresh starts are important. As October gives way to November, the garden takes shape different from before, but no less beautiful. The new design incorporates contributions from everyone who helped. Mrs. Abernathy's columbines, Maya's suggestion for a meditation area, Leo's marigolds in a sunny spot. The salted areas are healing slowly. Some spots still won't support growth, but even there, we've created beauty with carefully placed stones. The scars remain visible, but they're part of the garden now, integrated rather than defining it. On a crisp Sunday afternoon, I sit on my new bench, coffee warming my hands as I survey what we've created. The garden isn't finished, gardens never are, but it's alive again, breathing with possibility. Maya stops by, drone in hand. Mind if I take some aerial shots for the before and after comparison? She launches the drone. It looks amazing from up here, she calls, like a completely different place. And it is a different place. Not just the garden, but the neighborhood, the connections between houses that were once just buildings on the same street. Mrs. Abernathy waves from her porch. The couple with the sedges walk by, nodding in appreciation. Leo helps the man with the corgi install a small fountain near the meditation area. This is what Vanessa and Dominic never understood, I realize. A garden isn't just plants and soil. It's relationships, connections, the invisible threads that bind people to place and to each other. They saw my garden as just flowers and dirt, something to destroy to hurt me. But in destroying it, they inadvertently created something stronger, a community that came together to heal what was broken. As the sun sets, I think of Vanessa in Seattle, starting over. Of Leo, navigating between his parents' separate lives. Of Dominic, whose absence feels like the lifting of a shadow. I hope they find peace, or at least a path toward it. As for me, I'm exactly where I need to be. My garden is different now, shaped by destruction and renewal, bearing the marks of conflict but also of healing. Like me, it carries its history in its very soil, the good and the bad, the growth and the damage, all of it essential to what it has become. The garden will continue to evolve, never finished, always becoming. And so will I.